There is never just cause to take a life. I sure as hell do not condone the death penalty. And these are people who are confirmed to be evil in the eye of the moral standards that we hold as a nation, as we hold as a species. I don't condone ending that person's life. So how could I ever turn around and say, well, you know, he's trying to make a point. So it's justifiable to make sure that his message is really driven home. There's just absolutely no way I could ever bring myself to say those words and mean them.
My interpretation of the Joe Stack event started with finding out that it happened, getting some resources from Bryan, and then doing research on my own. Initially, I don't really trust any kind of statements made by organizations or people that have been proven untrustworthy. In this case, what I mean is any kind of official statement coming from a government. I think that they're automatically suspect because most of the organizations in the government have been proven untrustworthy. In doing my research, I don't want to color what I'm going to find, what information I'm going to find by my own opinion. So initially I thought that if no one was actually hurt, that this was an unfortunate case of a man that decided to kill himself and take out part of the IRS building. And then reading his manifesto, I completely identified with the man. And then as more information came out that people were actually hurt, killed by this, the story changes, because my opinions change. And that's because when the facts change, I change my mind. I don't do the thing where I have my stance and then everything else is going to have to fit around that. My agenda is to get to the truth. So Lupe, how did you find out about it? What are your thoughts on it?
My initial instinct was, give them the fuck you. Right now, my mind has been on all these different institutions that are just doing these excess abuses to the people and this pretty much strangling us of our money. Initially, it was so nice to see that one person is fed up and saying, I'm fed up. This is what you get. Contextualizing it and seeing, there's people in that building and he could have done it in the nighttime or sometime when he knew nobody was there. The symbolic nature of it, if we want change, do we take violent actions? No, I don't believe that, especially at this moment. It's so exciting to have the internet and text and to be able to just change things so quickly, because I really think that if we just have more people and we're more united, then we wouldn't even have to resort to violence. Moving your money, getting our money out of those 6 banks that are too big to fail. If everybody gets on it, it doesn't have to be about Congress being on their ass and regulating them. Anthem is like I said, raising it by 40% for some people. Boom! If everybody said, forget it, I don't want this, then they would change their ways. They wouldn't have to wait for regulation from the government. They'd be regulated because we are constantly on them. And I think because we've all barely started with the internet, I feel like it's just beginning, but as we become more and more connected, we can really force these things. It's just more like a social pressure as opposed to a violent form or a violent act.
It's a mystery to me. We have agreed with which we have agreed. And you think you have to want more than you need. Until you have it all, you won't be free. Society, you're a crazy breed. I hope you're not lonely without me. When you want more than you have, you think you need. And when you think more than you want, your thoughts begin to bleed. I think I need to find a bigger place. 'Cause when you have more than you think, you need more space. Society, you're a crazy breed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me. thinking more or less is more. But if less is more, how you keeping score? It means for every point you make, your level drops. Kinda like you're starting from the top, and you can't do that. Society, you're a crazy breed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, have mercy on me. I hope you're not angry if I disagree. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me.
I think Joe Stack's case certainly points to an underlying current, and that there's a lot of people that are really fed up with the insanity that has become our way of life. And we can all point fingers at, well, it's these various corporations and institutions, but we have collectively allowed them to assume the control and the power that they have. And the only way to rectify that is to take the power back, as Lupe said, by exercising not just your vote, but where you spend your money. This conversation and conversations such as this that really explore it and educate people and unite people to the fact that we do have a voice, and it is one of peace, and it is one of equality, and it is coming from an enlightened perspective, is the only way to bring about that real change that we all collectively seek. I mean, there is a real evolutionary tension that is going on this planet right now, where things have gotten so bad, and we're at that threshold where we either figure it out or we annihilate ourselves, which is why I can never advocate further violence, because it's only going to exacerbate itself. And since we live in this nuclear world now, I don't think that that's a very good idea. You have to be able to extrapolate your thoughts out on a global perspective and see how is that going to affect real change. Well, everybody getting pissed off and resorting to violence is only going to leave the world on fire. So since that's not really an option, what are we left with? And it comes down to a personal choice to consciously evolve and to be that change, to say, yes, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, but that means I'm not going to play that game. And so you remove yourself from that game and find peace in this moment. We have this tendency to demonize people that do not agree with our particular viewpoint, and that is not an enlightened society. And Jordan in her email had said that you can't sit around waiting for everybody to be enlightened, because that's never going to happen. But it does begin someplace, and it always begins with an individual that stands up and says, wait a minute, let's all take a collective deep breath and take a look at what are we really trying to do as a species on this planet. Until people really begin to adopt a more global perspective and see themselves as a part of the whole and not, well, they're different from us because they have different income stream or a different role politically or a different ideology, and therefore they're beneath us or they're not as good as we are doomed to fail. I think that we've gotten to a time where we're all smart enough to recognize that the ways of old don't work anymore, and that's what this real evolutionary shift is about.